Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Somos Moss, the official podcast of Somos Moss NM, and your source for the latest news and notes on the Mexico United and the New Mexico Runners. My name, of course, is Seth Bidoff. Joining me this evening, the one, the only Jacob Terrell. Earl is out sick this week, and I got two questions for you quickly here, Jacob. First of all, is it hot enough yet?
It hasn't been that bad, all things considered, over here. I mean, we're usually in the hundreds. We've at least hit a couple 100 days by now, and I don't think we've gotten that hot yet this summer. And so today was like 94, but there was a breeze at least here anyways, and so it was never too hot. It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that wind has been kicking up here the past couple of days in town as well. And so, yeah, that 94, that's not been quite as bad as it normally would be. But I tell you, I'm already ready for fall.
I'm good until you get to 105. That's like my tipping point. Anything over 104, I'm hurting for sure.
Yeah, the one thing to point out though, you work at a state park, so and there's a lake. So I'm assuming you can accidentally fall in the water to cool yourself off at some point.
I suppose I could, yeah. I can make up a reason that I have to get wet.
Yeah, there you go. Oops, I dropped the buoy. I have to go get it. Drop the life preserver. You at least have excuses to do that in the middle of your workday. For me, if I was to walk outside and try to stand in a sprinkler somewhere, people think I was just homeless.
You also work inside.
That is true.
So,
however, my building the air conditioner does not work in my office building currently.
That sucks.
Yes. So it has been a very stifling 80 plus in the building every single day, and it's just getting warmer and warmer. I think today at one point the thermostat closest to my office read 86. So
yeah,
that's not fun.
I'm calling in if that's the case.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. I would love to. I would love to come home and just work from here. However, the problem with that is if I start working from home every day on the basis of my office not having working air conditioning, and come home, turn on mine, my electric bill is going to be like $100 a month, if not more, which for an apartment is a lot. True. Yeah. So, yeah, the other thing I want to ask you too is, we've all seen, obviously, I mentioned Earl was out this evening. We're aware of famous couples. There's Bennifer, Ben Affleck, and J-Lo, and the others of that nature.
This is what happened when I don't send an agenda to the group chat. I have no idea where we're going with this.
I have to ask. I was given a celebrity name for Earl and Marlena.
Oh, okay.
And I have to ask, is it Erlena now?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
In fact, I don't even think we refer to them as individuals anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It is just Erlena, because Earl's not the one that's sick. Marlena is the one that isn't feeling good, according to the text earlier. So, because they are now one person, as in Erlena, then yeah, that's fair. I like that.
Okay. Well, that might be how we refer to Erlena from now on the show. So when he does return, please all join us in welcoming back Erlena. And I gotta ask, Jacob, obviously you were out last week. You had some illness going on as well. Are you feeling better? Is the family well? Are the kids well?
Yeah. Oh yeah. The flu hit us for basically a whole week and a few days. It made its way through all of the people in this house. I got hit the worst for some reason. I think Memorial Day weekend, I was working 12-hour shifts for the most part and working into the evenings. It's a very stressful holiday for us here, with it being the first major holiday of the summer. And so I was worn pretty thin by the time Monday rolled around, and then Monday afternoon got here, and I just felt like garbage. So, but back on the mend for sure. Still have a gnarly cough at times. Still not 100%, but getting there.
Yeah, there's definitely things going around. Melanie's been sick as well. She's getting over something. She is a teacher, so She just works with germ factories all day long. My boys have both been sick. Well, I should say my older son has been sick. He woke up thrown up in the middle of the night the other night. I woke up in the middle of the night last night. So yeah, there's definitely things going around. Hopefully, with the summer coming up, some of that gets out of the system, gets out of the way, and folks don't have to deal with it. But glad to hear that you and the family are doing well. I know that it's never fun dealing with sick kids, but then when you and your significant other also become sick as well, doing it at the same time, it's an added benefit.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, glad to hear that everyone's doing well. And as Jane says, sending get well wishes to Erlena. So do appreciate you, Jane. How is everyone doing? Jane, Justin, Moogdef already all over in the chat. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Jacob, this is not the result that we were hoping for. New Mexico United went out to Monterey Bay over the weekend for a Sunday evening affair out at Cardinale Stadium. We didn't get your prediction last week. Earl and I both predicted wins.
I predicted a 1-0 loss, actually.
Did you? Did you now? Okay.
The crazy thing is I predicted 1 missed PK. I just didn't predict 2 missed PKs.
Yeah, it was there was some talk over in the Discord, some talk amongst the United Nation, some talks on the subreddit. One of the comments I took away was that Earl was massively overconfident in his prediction. But heading into this, did you see any reason to think that we would struggle the way that we did against Monterey, against a club that had not won in 6 matches?
Did we really struggle?
I would say yes.
I would say the first half was a little rough. The second half, it says a lot to me when the opposing goalkeeper gets player of the week in the USL. The dude stood on his head, not just with the PK, but several other opportunities that we had there. We destroyed him in the XG stats, in possession and shots on target. It was not particularly close. They scored off of one play that we actually made a really good defensive play on. We got back. We got the stop. The ball just happened to fall perfectly for him to be able to put a rebound home. And then we miss chance after chance, including 2 penalty kicks. And so no, I wouldn't even look at it and say that we struggled mightily. We should have been better, I think. But at the same time, Monterey Bay has always, for some reason, been a weird place for us to play. We've never fully done good things there. And so I wasn't sure going into it exactly what to think. And after the match, I wasn't really upset at all because I thought a lot of guys looked good. I thought we looked good throughout the majority of the match, and just ran into a keeper that stood on his head and a problem that we've got to fix as far as who takes our PKs.
Yeah, I watched this in the first half, and yes, I do agree. We did play better in the second half, but again, this is one of those matches where we've had very few opportunities at all in the first half. We did not come out strong. We did not, despite the possession stat, which I thought was really weird at halftime. We were up, I think it was 68 to 32% in the possession, which was atypical for us. But it did not play out that way. I think our final third entries we had maybe 5 final third entries, 6 final third entries. And the ones that we had, we couldn't really get a quality shot. Like, we had 1 good shot in the first half. And I watched this, and I think Monterey outplayed us defensively here in this match, particularly in the first half. Now, yes, we did get more opportunities in the second, but you can't make up for for a lack of, I can't say lack of effort, I can't say lack of energy, but yeah, we just did not do what we needed to. We could not break down this Monterey defense.
I mean, we just saw they just showed the highlight package here, and the first half highlight package is short. Don't get me wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but it is all us. There was two chances or one chance for Monterey Bay, and then the rest were all for us. And so it's not going to come out. We're not going to be able to come out and be absolutely unstoppable every single time. It's just not going to work out that way. And so again, I kind of brush the loss off and think, man, we were inches away from coming up with a 2-1 win at the very least, if not more. And so I kind of just shrug my shoulders and say, yeah, well, we'll move on. One thing, Flanagan's finally getting minutes has really kind of been a big deal to me. And so even if we didn't score or look super dominant in this match, Flanagan's emergence, being somebody else out there on the wing that we can play, is huge to me.
Yeah, there was that play you just talked about with the recovery by Talon Maples. Fantastic run by him to get back. Great run by Zico to get back and slow up the attack somewhat. But very unfortunate that ball falls right back to him. But I mean, this is a play here that, I mean, I don't like the placement on that kick. I see what he did. I think there was too much on it. But Siaha was just on it. And we had committed basically everybody forward on this. The fact that we even made this into something where we had a chance to stop the attack was what was a good moment for the club. Now so we'll get to the PKs here because the first one's coming up right here. Now I know there was some consternation among some folks as to whether or not this is a penalty. Now myself, as a referee, as someone who watches, this is absolutely a penalty. The arm is outstretched in an unnatural position. This is not him bracing himself. The arm is out behind him.
I disagree.
And so you disagree.
Yeah, I don't think it was a PK.
Okay. And how do you come to that decision?
Because you see it countless time and time again when somebody's going to make that sliding tackle, they have that arm behind them as a brace arm. Yes, it's a little high, but it's still not. I see that all the time, and he makes that argument, and I almost feel for him. Obviously, if that would have gone in, I would be singing maybe a slightly different tune, but no, I think that hand placement is not unnatural for the play that he was making, in my opinion.
Okay. I mean, I get it. Letter of the law. However, outstretched arm. If the arm's in closer, but the fact of it's how big he made himself. That arm is unnaturally outside the body. Okay, that's not a natural movement for it to be out where it is. That's where the call comes from. So I agree. This isn't. I agree that it is a penalty. I think it's a great call. No yellow card. I agree. No red card. I agree. I think it's a great call by the referee. Now, I want to take it back here real quick to the PK itself. All right. So first of all, before this kick even gets taken, you see Mukwele Akale and Zico Bailey both standing over this, talking about who's going to take it. Why in the world are we letting Zico Bailey take a penalty?
Because Akali's already taken one and missed two. So what, like, I didn't have a problem with it in the moment necessarily. Nobody has proven that they can take and make these. I think you give it to Hosu and you just let him freaking use his cannon of a fucking leg to put a hole in the back of the net. But I
was gonna say you're gonna pull a McAdoo.
Yeah, I don't mind this at all. In the moment, I didn't mind it.
Okay.
Hindsight, sure, you can say why is he taking it, But in the moment, it didn't look like they were prepared whatsoever. But I'm not gonna freak out about why he's taking it.
All right. So the next thing is this run up. I'm sorry. I hate this in general. But if this is not your given role, if this is not what you're doing, why are you doing this? Maybe it's just I don't think I've ever seen Zico take a PK before. Maybe this is just the way that he does it. But I think this is absolutely ridiculous. You're not pulling Siaha off his line. Siaha, I mean, he does make one slight movement, but he doesn't commit in any one direction. And then you plant your left and you close down your hip, and Siaha knows which way you're going, and then you pull it hard enough to where it goes off the woodwork. This was not a well-taken penalty at all.
I think it was better than Akale's.
You think so?
Akale had more pace behind it, but Akale's is at the height that you just never want it at, because it's waist high, and yes, it's towards the left or the right post, but I don't know. They're both bad PKs. I don't know, like to compare the two is kind of ridiculous. And
we'll talk about the other one too. I'm not saying that the college was great either, but you look at how both of these PKs came about, and I agree with the second one as well. I agree that the second one was a penalty as well, because you watch the tackle that comes in. He comes in.
Oh yeah, he gets his ankle.
Yeah, catches him. Akale, who had made a great turn to cut back in towards the center of the box. But again, the kick in the moment, it's one of those things where I agree with you. It's not great. It's not well placed. I think of the two, based off of what we saw, I think his had the better opportunity to go in, but I don't think it was great either. So, I mean, looking at these two penalties, now obviously Hurst has already come off at this point. Brucey's on. Okay.
Hurst has missed one already this year too, though.
Hurst has also converted our only PK of the year.
Right.
So, looking at who we have, who should be taking these? Now, obviously, Micheletto's not in the lineup. I don't know why Micheletto's not in the lineup for this. He wasn't on the injury report. But in this moment, when you have Brucey on the pitch, why would you not give it to your 9?
Because Brucey's not a 9.
Well, we know he's not a true 9, but he's playing in that striker role. We know that. But of the guys, like, he's the one that's had the better, the better performance from a goal scoring standpoint. So why not give it to him? Now, again, Akale is not terrible, again, not great placement, but it's, we've had the comments over in the chat, this is where you miss Portillo. You absolutely do. What do you think the pecking order is here for us when it comes to, kicks from the mark?
I told you I'd give it to Josu in this moment. In both of those moments I would. But that's also me not knowing anything about how these guys take them in practice, what the word around the clubhouse is, and how coach has kind of prepped him for it. That's just me knowing that Josu has a fucking rocket on his arm or on his leg, and sometimes I think it's best to just, like somebody said in the chat, just pick a corner. And I think Josu could come up and pick a top corner and then just launch it up there to where keeper physically cannot make it, unless he's already standing on that side of the net. And so that, I don't know. I can almost guarantee you that over the next week that will be worked on and figured out.
I would certainly hope so, because I mean, you didn't see a whole lot of discussion about who's going to take it. We did a little bit before the first one, but before the second one, there was no discussion at all. I mean, Akale gave it, and I don't disagree with having Akale there. He is a forward. He is somebody that should have the ability to score. I still think Brucey would have been the best bet. and that's just my opinion. And again, like you said, we don't know. We don't see how these guys take them. We don't know the rotation. We don't know, what coach has them do or what they see in practice to make them go with what they did this weekend. But you absolutely cannot miss 2 PKs in a match.
No, more importantly, you can't be 1 of 5 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's your goal differential right there. Like,
yeah. Josh, evening can't win them all is right, but damn, I hope Quill is making them drill pens all week. Yeah, that's what we were just saying. We were just saying that hopefully this is something that gets worked out over the week. But yeah, you can't go into a match. You can't miss 2 PKs. Like you said, you can't be 1 of 5 on the season. It's one of those skills. Is it necessarily an easy skill? No, but when you have a 2.62, 2.67 XG, like you've got to convert your chances. And yes, Siaha had a good game. Yes, their back line played well, but we didn't necessarily put a ton of pressure. Like, yes, we had some shots. Yes, we did some things well, but it's just one of those things where we have to be better. We have to be better in multiple different aspects of the game. And one that I want to bring up, and one that Earl brought up in the chat, was the play of Alex Tambakis, particularly in the first half. I think saying that Alex had at least one questionable decision is fair. There was another that we got incredibly fortunate on, that Walmart Martinez couldn't control the ball and keep it in play. Otherwise, we would have been down 1-0 a lot earlier. And looking at that first moment where Alex came out of his box and all the way over to the touchline, what was your initial reaction when you saw Alex that far out when he had a defender out there on the side?
Same thing. I had no idea what he was doing, but I thought that was his only real mistake. I don't know. Everything else was at least feasible to me. And every once in a while, you make a bad judgment call. And so he wasn't really challenged any other time. And the goal that Monterey Bay ended up scoring, I mean, that was, like I said, we got the block originally, and it just fell right to them again. And he wasn't ready to make that quick reaction after the initial shot. And you do what it is. I'm not going to sit here and say he was great, but I'm also not going to sit here and bash him for one mistake that didn't really cost us, and then a goal that he really couldn't ask him to do a whole lot about.
Yeah, obviously the goal is one thing. Tough situation, tight angle. There were defenders there. I mean, that's a tough play to make. Erlina seemed to intimate that Alex had made a similar decision multiple times last year. I mean, I can think of maybe one or two where he came out, but when he did that, there was no defender in the area, which is what made this one baffling to me. Like I think we were fortunate that our back four were able to slow down that attack enough for Alex to recover and get back to his line. And the second one was rather unfortunate, the way that, again, the ball bounced back to Walmer. He just couldn't control it and keep it in. But I don't know how to explain it. And I hate to put it out there, but do you think that maybe there's a slight lack of confidence from Alex?
No, it was one misjudged play. That was all it was. Like mountains out of molehills, in my opinion, right now. It was just, he thought he could probably get there, realized halfway through that he couldn't, but he was already kind of committed. And there were defenders back, but the Monterey Bay player was technically the farthest back. He just wasn't the closest to goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so while it was a dumb decision, I'm not gonna freak out and say that he like I'm pretty sure when it happened, I said, "What the hell are you doing?" But nah, I wasn't like, "Oh my god, the sky is falling."
No, I mean I agree. And if anyone goes that far, I think they really need to go back and relook at what's gone on so far in the season. Now, again, one of those moments where you do question it and you go, "What were you thinking?" Like throwing into Ray Rice, like you don't do it. But hopefully it's one of those moments that Alex will go back and look at the film and be like, "Okay, I don't really know why I did that there." We had defenders back, we had people. There wasn't that necessity, and he makes that adjustment and moves on. So I again, like you said, I don't think it's a Scott is falling moment, but it was certainly something. Again, Earl is quite harsh on our keepers,
No,
particularly Alex.
let's Earl. I hope you're listening. I want you to know that I love you. Earl doesn't understand the position of goalkeeper, and that's why he makes a lot of the claims that he makes. This one, it was a legit gripe. I will give him that. He definitely could complain about it, but 99 times out of 100, when Earl complains about the goalkeeping, it is because he lacks an understanding of something there, more so than it's actually a bad play. So, yeah, I was hoping he was going to be on tonight because I know he would be able. It'd be nice for him to actually have a reason to rip Tembakis that is legit, but he'll find a way. He'll find a way.
I would like to see at some point, a Somos Mas or a New Mexico United, goalkeeper challenge, and stick Earl in goal as well as anyone else who wants to try it, and see what happens. But maybe one of these days that's something we can work out. Man of the match, who stood out for you in a positive light?
It's always hard for me to give it to a sub, but Akale made a huge difference in the second half. Obviously he missed the PK, but he's just so damn shifty and hard to stay in front of. And you see that on the second penalty that he draws. I mean, like you mentioned, a beautiful turn, and then all of a sudden getting his leg taken out and sending us back to the spot. And so to me, it's a toss up between him. If I wanted to go a full 90 guy, it'd probably be Hosu. I love what Hosu does and the ground that he covers. I mean, he's kind of everywhere all the time. He's strong. He's got that rocket on his leg, like I've mentioned 100 times. There towards the end, I was like, hey, just clear out space at the top of the box and give it to Hosu right there and just let him take shots from 18 to 25 yards out. And that'll be our offense for the rest of the match because it just seems so dangerous. And so Harris was also dangerous. When we have, I think our best offensive lineup is Harris and Akale on the wings with Hurst probably up top. And then Micheletto and Nicky and Hosu and Bailey kind of in that midfield. And then the back four of I don't know who the back four would be in my perfect squad, but offensively, Harris and Akale up top with Hurst is just a scary look. And so, yeah, I would love to see. I think like come LAFC, that I wouldn't be surprised if it's Akale, Harris, and Hurst up top, and then some combination of that in the back or in the midfield with the Micheletto and Nicky and Hosu and Bailey, and then go to work. One thing that I was talking with a buddy of mine about after the match, and I think I mentioned it in our group chat as well. Maybe, like we need Raiden back, not because he's so much better than Maples and Herbert, but because we don't have any bodies back there at the center back position. I think it's clear to me that Seymour is not that position anymore. You can argue that maybe he never was, but he's not a center back whatsoever anymore. And so it's Herbert and Maples until Ryden comes back. And we've now seen that was what our 11th match. And so it's been 10 matches in a row, basically, that Maples and Herbert have gotten the bulk of the minutes there at center back. I think Seymour might have started one or two there right after Ryden got hurt, but for the most part, it's Maples and Herbert. Plus, in the Open Cup, it's been Maples and Herbert, and so they are getting worn out for sure. And we need somebody back there in the center back position to take some reps away from them and give them a breather, especially coming up in January with the Open Cup and some schedule congestion that did get semi alleviated today.
Mm-hmm.
That, of course, being the July 6th match against Sacramento being rescheduled for later in the year to give us a week off between a Wednesday match on the 30th. I believe it's the 30th. And then our Open Cup match on the 10th. So I guess it's probably not the 30th.
It's probably like we had a match on the 6th, and then Open Cup on the 10th. Yeah.
What was the one before the 6th? Because we have one that Wednesday. I think it's
that is right.
Third,
yeah.
Second, or I think it's the second actually. And so, definitely freed us up a little bit there. Gave us some time off between matches before we go to LAFC, and so that is a solid move there.
July 3rd.
Yeah, so July 3rd. Okay. So yeah, it's that's right, because the 4th's on a Thursday. I don't know what I was thinking. So that was good to see. But even with that, we still need some rest for these two center backs back there that have been working their ass off for 3 months now almost.
Yeah, Mugdev stole mine. I was gonna say Dayon Harris. Dayon came in and Dayon was phenomenal. Played with a ton of pace. Found himself in a lot of space and made some dangerous moves, made some pretty good crosses into the area. Unfortunately, we just couldn't clean them up, couldn't make anything happen out of them. But I mean, yeah, Hosu's a great shout. Flanagan was good. Akale was good. There's a couple guys that really stood out as having good. Talon Maples, I thought, was phenomenal. Again, Talon had another great match. Glad to see him doing well. You're muted.
I mean, Gloucester had a man of the match type match for my standards for him because I was not upset with him ever throughout this match. He actually looked like he was competent, which I was happy about. Yeah, just kind of overall, just a ho-hum kind of blah match. Yeah, we're not sure, Josh. He wasn't on the injury report anywhere, but my guess is just a maintenance, maybe a small knock. Hopefully nothing major. Maybe tweak something in warm-ups or something like that. And so, but it is what it is. We move on. We come back home this weekend, and so that's a place where we still have not lost. And I feel way better about our play at home this season than I do on the road.
Yeah. I don't think Miklo was a rotation thing. He only played about 14 minutes in the prior match against San Antonio. So no idea. Good to see Abu Danladi off the injury report. Hopefully he doesn't pick up a knock in training this week. Hopefully. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
But yeah, you mentioned coming back home, and a minute ago you mentioned the rescheduled match between us and Sacramento. The Sacramento match on July 6th was rescheduled to September 18th. That is a Wednesday night. The 7:00 kickoff, and then in addition to that, the return matchup on September 29th has been moved slightly later, 30 minutes later, to accommodate national broadcast on ESPN2 now. So a couple of scheduling changes for New Mexico United. Make sure your schedules, your calendars are updated with all the new information. But I mean, quickly, around the league, or at least around the Western Conference this past weekend, we're pretty fortunate. I mean, no one, really had a chance to, or no one really challenged to jump us. Sacramento drew with Legion, Loudoun beat Orange County, Memphis 901 beat Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Tampa Bay Rowdies beat Las Vegas Lights, Miami FC over North Carolina, Phoenix Rising lost to Indy 11, Rhode Island and Lou City went to a 0-0 draw. Oakland did beat FC Tulsa 1-0. And then, yeah. That's the weekend. That's the week prior. Sorry, I was looking up the Marco Micheletto stat. Yes, El Paso did lose again, so I apologize. I was looking at the week prior because I was looking at Marco. Las Vegas and Phoenix 0-0. Sacramento, Tampa Bay 0-1. Tampa Bay. Orange County beat Detroit City 3-2. San Antonio over Memphis 1-0. El Paso lost to Legion 3-1. So yeah, I mean, no one had the opportunity to jump us other than Sacramento. They didn't pick up a positive result for them. So we got fortunate. We got fortunate over the weekend. But we're still in first place. Coming back to the lab where, like you said, we haven't lost yet. And next up for us, we have Hartford Athletic coming into town.
Can I ask you a question real quick about the Western Conference?
Yes.
Is anybody good? Or is everybody good?
I think you have 1 through 5, maybe 6 as good. I don't think anyone's great.
But I mean, like you say, 1 through 5, maybe 6, but Memphis is sitting there at 7th, and they were in 4th yesterday or before the weekend. It's just so clustered from 3rd to 9th. Basically, there's only 5 points there that separate 3rd through 9th, and then like Sacramento, I don't know if Sacramento's good. Yeah, they were undefeated until Saturday, but they had more draws than wins. We were still ahead of them. They've had some draws with some weird teams. Just nobody, like, I don't look at anybody in the West and go, yeah, they're really good this year. In the East, obviously, like Charleston, Louisville, and probably Tampa, and maybe even Indy now that they've had a really good run of form. Like I could sit there and look at those and be like, yeah, those are good teams. I have no idea who's good in the West, if anybody is.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at 1 through 6, and realistically, we say 6, you've got 3 clubs all sitting on 16 points. So I just say 6. I mean, Colorado is unbeaten. They've won 5 in a row. So Colorado has really come on. I mean, I think you've got some good teams. Do I think Phoenix belongs in good? I think they're bottom end of good. I'm on the fence about Orange County, but I honestly at this point I put Memphis and Colorado ahead of Phoenix. So like I said, I think Phoenix is on the bottom edge of good, but like I said, no one's great. No one is separating themselves. No one is really standing out. Like, yes, we had a great run of form, for in the league. But we have to show out against these, the top 5-6 clubs in the Western Conference to really make a statement. Say, yes, we are a good to great team.
So who's the best team in the West right now?
I still think right now Sacramento is the club to beat.
Is that going off of their history or their performance on the pitch this season, though?
I mean, from what I've seen, they put themselves in a position to win every single match. You can't say the same thing about us. You can't say the same thing about Monterey or Orange County. You could arguably put San Antonio in there. But, I mean, Sacramento has been competitive in every single match, and they are going to be a difficult team to beat. Now, they've got to get some results going their way, but I think if you can beat Sacramento, you stand a good chance of making top 2, top 3 in the West.
Fair enough.
To those points there, Move Def USL show continues to gas sack as if they're so good, and USL show never starts about sacking. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, to be fair, Lou City has been one of the best teams in the USL for a very long time. So I mean, that's understandable. And they are now they've overtaken Charleston Battery for first place in the East. So I don't disagree about Lou City. Lou City is phenomenal. They are a very good team. But I mean, it's just the way the USL show is. I honestly think USL show does not actually stay up and watch USL after dark. I don't think they even watch the Mountain West after dark, whatever you want to call it. Because USL show is very heavily biased towards the Eastern Conference. But that's like, and yes, Sacramento's dealing with some injuries. Monterey's been dealing with some injuries. San Antonio's been dealing with some injuries. Even we have too, but not to the extent that they have. We haven't seen, our number ones go down. So, we've been fortunate that it's been deep roster guys have been hurt.
I mean, I don't know about that. Like, that's the way it's played out, but Ryden's a 1. Ryden is probably 1A. And then Dunlottie, there is a lot of hype around Dunlottie. We haven't seen it, but I bet you coming into the season, if you asked the majority of people who was going to be the starting 9, it wouldn't hands down be Greg Hurst. It would probably be split between Greg Hurst and Abu Dunlottie. Nava, I think he's probably not a 1. I think some people would argue that he would be. And so I think you saying that it's our ones haven't gone down is more a testament to the depth that we have and the quality of players that we have than anything else. Mm-hmm. But I think a lot of our players that have been injured, you could definitely make a case where number ones on majority of teams that they play on.
No, I agree. Yeah, we've talked about the depth of this roster. I mean, these are guys that could be starting on a lot of different teams. They really are. Even some of our depth guys. So yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens, as these teams get healthy, if they get healthy. And really see if you get a full first team against full first team. So I mean, there's a lot to take into account there. Jane, I'm thinking the Cava is going to make a big difference in San Antonio. Yeah.
There was another question right above that about LaCava. Mm-hmm. LaCava doesn't move the needle to me. He has been a name that everybody talks about, and oh my gosh, he's going to come in and he's going to make a difference. And then he has come in and done little to nothing at almost every stop that he makes. There's a reason why he's played for like 5 teams in the last 4 years. Could he come in and be really good? Yes. Do I think that's probably going to happen? Honestly, no. And I also think San Antonio has some deeper issues than Jake LaCava can fix, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, we have it in our group chat with Harry. I mean, I think San Antonio made a mistake in letting go of their 2 best forwards from last year.
For sure.
So, yeah, there's definitely some deeper issues there for San Antonio. Could LaCava come in and have an impact? Yeah, but is he going to be a Golden Boot winner? Probably not. I mean, his best season, 2022, he had 13 goals for a very good Tampa Bay Rowdies side. They had a lot of goals that season. So,
they also had a shit ton of talent everywhere on the pitch.
Yeah.
He is not going to come in and be a Band-Aid to paste over a lack of talent elsewhere.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. So let's look ahead a little bit. This weekend, Hartford Athletic. We'll get to Luis's question here in just a minute. Hartford Athletic come in. They are sitting below the playoff line currently in the Eastern Conference on 13 points. They are winless in 4 of their last 5, and these guys have given up a lot of goals. Now, to be fair, they did up 6 in one match to Lou City, but Lou City's scoring on everybody in bunches. So I don't think this is the same Hartford Athletic Club that we went into Hartford last year and overlooked, which I think we can easily say at this point that
I mean, this is Colorado Springs East. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's almost exactly a Colorado Springs team that we played either last year or the year before. I can't remember, but you have Deshane Beckford, you've got Nagila, you've got Brendan Burke as their coach, you've got just up and down that roster is former Colorado Springs guys from a couple years ago when they were very good. Colorado Springs was good that year, but it's still just, it hasn't meshed over there yet.
Some very familiar names, like you mentioned. You already mentioned a couple there. Romario Williams, also at Hartford Athletic. Mm-hmm. Marcus Epps, former Phoenix Rising player, also over there. So these are some guys that we are very, very familiar with. You know, Makangila, you mentioned Michi Galina as well. So a lot of guys we're very familiar with, and guys that we should have very good scouting reports on. So it's a bit of surprise that they have not showed out a bit more than they have, if you ask me. But I look at this roster, and I think their biggest issue is the lack of skill at the center back position, as well as in goal. I think that's where a lot of their issues lie, because I mean they've got the attacking pieces. It's just not coming together for them.
I mean, who would think that Nagila and Romario Williams would be part of an offense that just doesn't work for some reason? I mean, same with Epps. Epps is probably my favorite attacking player that they have. Mm-hmm. I've also seen Epps shoot more balls to the moon than just about anybody else in the league. And so I understand why they're struggling. On paper, they look fantastic. In practice, they are lacking in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, as a club, they've only scored 11 goals. They've given up, 24 goals, 25 goals already.
I'll tell you in a second.
Again, it's
22.
22. Okay, I was close. But again, 6 of those are to Lou City. But you look at their results. I mean, they started out the season with a win over El Paso. Now we know El Paso is not a very good club right now. We do know that they're probably not going to be a very good club for the majority of the season. But again, you look at their results. A win over El Paso, a win over Birmingham to open the season. You're going, okay, maybe this is a club that can compete. But then you see, multi-goal losses in a lot of their outings. And you have to wonder, why can't Brendan Burke, a guy who had some very good, talented clubs in Colorado Springs, and he's brought in some guys that he is very familiar with, why is it not working? And I think that's a tremendous question that I haven't seen anyone really give an answer to at any point. But I mean, what should we expect from this side on Saturday?
I expect they'll get a couple chances. They'll definitely use some of that attacking talent to create a chance here and there. It's finishing to me that it's always going to come down to with them. And when you have 2 of the worst finishers that I've seen in a long time, in Epps and Nagila, and then somebody that didn't finish for us worth a damn in Romario Williams, and somebody who's not really known for finishing in Deshane Beckford, you're going to struggle to find the back of the net at times. And so I think they find their chances. I do think they score at some point, but I didn't listen fully last week to the preview part, so I don't know exactly how y'all, especially Earl, was confident about this match against Monterey Bay, but that's probably how I feel about Hartford. They just they're going to create some chances. They're probably not going to finish them, and then they're going to give up a shit ton of chances. And I think after the disappointing play in Monterey Bay, we come out. Quill has a fire lit under our guys, especially to play at home. And I will say that this is. I would put money on this being our first 2-goal win of the season in the league.
I can certainly see it. Especially like you mentioned, coming off of the loss in Monterey, a match that, in all reality, we probably should have had a much better result out of that one. We probably should have come out of that with a win. But here, again, I think maybe it's just a road thing this year. I don't know, because our road record is not great this season.
We're probably averaging a point per game on the road, which is fine.
Yeah.
We've beaten. I think we've won 3 matches on the road. Believe it or not, it's just all 3 losses of ours have come on the road. 2 of them by wide margins, and so I think we've drawn, we've lost, we've drawn once, we've lost twice, now 3 times. I mean, and then we've won 3 times because we beat Vegas in Vegas, we beat Phoenix in Phoenix, and we beat North Carolina in North Carolina. And so our road record's not. I think the thing about our road form isn't. I don't think necessarily that our road record's going to be bad at the end of the year. I just think on the road we're just going to be more inconsistent.
That sounds accurate. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. 3-3-1, 10 points on the road, which isn't terrible by any stretch of imagination at this point in the season. We have played a lot of road matches, and 4 of those were back-to-back East Coast trips in which we've traveled across the country twice in 2 weeks, which I think is a really bad idea. But I think as you see us playing more Western Conference teams, we're going to get more positive results, or more consistent positive results, I should say, than what we saw on those East Coast swings. But coming back to the lab, this is going to be our bread and butter all season long. We're gonna look at this. We're gonna say this is our home turf. Quill wants to make this a fortress, and so far it has been. Whether it's been the lab or Rio Rancho, we have done well here in the Albuquerque metro area. And I'm really hopeful that the turnout on Saturday is not a bit of a letdown, because I know Memorial Day weekend was a bit of a letdown, where I wanted to ask you about that too. Because of the loss to Monterey. Do you think we see some sort of dip, or do we see numbers again this weekend?
I think we'll be fine. Memorial Day is always a hard holiday to draw on, because everybody seems to travel that weekend, and so obviously you'd like to see. I don't even know what the number was for Memorial Day. I don't think I ever found it.
I think it was 85-36, 39, 85-39.
I mean, I think we get to 10 this weekend for sure. And the thing about it is, obviously first year, averaging 12 plus. After COVID, that we dropped down, and I don't know if we'll ever get to the 12 to 15,000 per match numbers again. I think part of that's just as a society. I don't know if everybody is as thrilled to get together like that as they used to be, even with COVID kind of being over per se. At the end of the day, we're still leading the league in average attendance. The last that I had seen, maybe now we've fallen behind maybe Lou City and Indy, but we're still sitting pretty and still getting a ton of interest, ton of people. I would love to know what viewership numbers are on like the Golazo match against Monterey Bay, and all our ESPN Plus matches and stuff like that. Kind of what we're pulling in eyes wise there, but I would have to think that it's pretty high compared to the rest of the league, and so yeah, I'm not really worried about that. I think this weekend we'll be back up there, and we'll get kind of back on track with the 10,000 plus.
So a couple comments. Justin P, on a bad draw weekend, we still put more than most teams in the seats. And Josh, sadly, I don't know that we will, due to a lot of ABQ being upset at the push for the stadium. Do you think that that plays into it?
Nah, I don't think so. I think the numbers that we normally pull are not going to be affected by people upset that we're going for a stadium. I honestly think that it's the loud minority that is upset that we're going for the stadium. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are actually legitimately concerned about that are going to if they aren't going to come because of that, they weren't going to come to begin with.
Yeah, I agree. The NIMBYs in Albuquerque will never be happy. That is very true. They will never be happy. All right, Jacob. Score prediction Saturday against Hartford Athletic.
I think we put up 4 on them. I'm going to say 4-1.
Okay, 4-1. Interesting pick. All right. Yeah, I don't think we overlook Hartford this time. I really don't think we do. That was one of the first matches that Coach Quill had in charge last year. And I don't think we overlook them. We know Brendan Burke. We know a lot of these players. We know a lot what a lot of them are capable of. And again, we're home. We're back home. This is where we seem to play our best. I don't necessarily know we go 4-1. I am going to say 2-0. I think we get the clean sheet. I think we pick up, a couple goals. I like the goal differential idea. I think we do actually, get a multi-goal win. So I think this will be a bounce back game for us when we get back on track, pick up a win, and then keep keep the lead and the match in hand against a lot of the Western Conference. So, Luis's question, we promise we get to does anyone know why Lucho is not playing for San Antonio? That'd be a great question for Harry if Harry was here, but any insight?
No, man, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they got rid of Justin Dillon in the first place and traded him for Cucho, but who knows, man? That San Antonio team is kind of all over the place right now for lots of different reasons, and so who knows? Who knows? I know their fans aren't happy, so I think the 4-1 line for me is more about like we've seen us be right there on breaking through offensively all season. This terrible defense that Hartford puts out there, and the fact that they give up goals at will a lot of the times. That plus coming off a loss, I have to think that we're gonna kind of find that gear eventually, and it just seems like now going into June, playing at home, coming off a loss against a terrible defensive team, just kind of all lines up for there to be kind of an offensive outburst. And so I would love something like Justin says, 5-0, a 5-1 drubbing at the hand, like the Real Monarchs match back in 2019. But who knows?
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. There's our recap of the weekend's action out in Monterey, our preview of next weekend's match back at the lab against Hartford Athletic. You've got our scoreline predictions, a couple other topics we touched on. Don't forget the rescheduled match from July to September. Jacob, any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I don't think I got anything else. I'm not going to tell you to remember to buy your tickets for the plane because I want to buy tickets for the plane. So remember, that's at 1:00 tomorrow afternoon, guys. 1:00. And so I will comment on Josh's comment. that was the first United match that I missed that season. And I missed it because my son was being born. He was born around the 52nd minute. And so I did miss that offensive onslaught that we had against against the Real Monarchs in 2019. But hoping for something like that this weekend, and we can get back on track, get back to our winning ways, and push forward as we prepare for the dog days of the summer. So, Seth, if you got nothing else, then we'll be back next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. Hopefully, talking about 3 points for Hartford and looking ahead to 3 points against Hartford. Sorry, misworded it. And then looking ahead to who do we play after Hartford? Let's take a quick peek, shall we?
Memphis.
Memphis. That'll be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a good one. So yeah, I'm going to Memphis the following weekend. So we will see what happens there. Like you said, still in first place, still have a match in hand. We hope to continue that going forward. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Are you going to be at the match Saturday?
Yes.
Sweet. Good. Glad you'll be there. Josh, remember the 1 o'clock. Buy the tickets. 1 o'clock, not noon. Don't get on at noon. I won't be ready at noon and 1 o'clock. I'm just kidding, y'all. It's noon. Just I want to get some plane tickets. So, but yeah, with that, guys, we'll be back. Everybody over in the chat, thank you guys so much. It was an active chat. I love when it's an active chat. Hope Erlina feels better. And they can be on the show tomorrow or next week. So until next week, guys, Somos Lindos, and we'll talk to you later.